Yes, it is us. Dateable Podcast. We're back. We're never going away. Here's a brand new episode of Dateable. Welcome to our listeners, new and old. And we are so thankful because we're getting into that Thanksgiving season. We're so thankful for all of your support. So much has happened this year alone. And we have so much to tell you all that we can't tell you yet.
I feel like we're
very
bursting
thankful
to tell everyone everything. But
yes.
You and I have been so hard at work with some other projects. They're all related to the podcast and Dateable and dating. They're all the larger Dateable brand. But we're so excited to eventually be able to share this. I feel like we're teasing it so bad, but we just can't say anything yet.
I know. I feel, man, I feel like I'm back in grade school and I have this secret and I can't tell anybody.
Yeah, one of our friends, though, sent us flowers. It was so sweet. I was not expecting that at all. She sent us both flowers for one of our accomplishments.
Thank you, Melissa. That was so thoughtful. You totally made our day. And it was so bad because my partner had to go pick up the flowers from the outside. And our neighbor was like, oh my God, did you get her flowers? Is it her birthday? And he's like, it's not her birthday. And I didn't get these for her.
I know.
The neighbor's like, interesting.
Yeah. Well, okay. So this is really bad. It just made me think of it, though. So, like, our friend that sent us the flowers, she had a breakup. And we all sent her flowers, like a group sent her flowers. And the flower delivery guy showed up at her door. And he's like, they're from your boyfriend. I was like, there is nothing worse you could have said in that moment. Plus, like, read the room, read the card. It's from 4 girls. There's a good chance this is not from your boyfriend. Like, how is that?
No.
It's like either if you did have a boyfriend and they weren't the one that sent you flowers, then that's just, it's kind of like, okay, well, thanks for reminding me. And then if it's a breakup, like, that's one, like, false hope that they're sending them to you or just a reminder. So terrible. It was so bad.
No.
It's like
That's
flowers
just
gone wrong.
Drama. Oh, no.
I'm like, you're not funny. Don't make these jokes.
I feel like, okay. If you're delivering flowers, you probably should just be very sensitive to
Just
who
deliver
you're delivering
'em.
it to. Yeah, just deliver them. You don't have to make a comment. Oh my gosh. Okay, that's awful.
Yep.
But all right. Well, we got the right flowers, and the delivery person said nothing to me and just left it outside. So good job. You have one job. You did it right.
Right. Low bar. Very low bar.
Very low bar. Very low bar. But yes, it's so nice. Fall's in the air, even in Southern California too. You feel the cool air, and I feel like it's a time to reset and just breathe in the freshness that's to come.
I feel like the temperature dropped like 10 degrees overnight. Got way brisk. I'm turning on the heat, but it's kind of nice too. It's kind of cozy. I do agree. It feels like we're heading into Thanksgiving season, which is always one of my favorite times of the year.
Yeah. Is it? You like Thanksgiving?
I do really like Thanksgiving. Thanksgiving is definitely one of my favorite holidays.
Is it Thanksgiving with family or Thanksgiving with friends that you like?
Both. I usually alternate every year. Although, did I go last year? No. I guess it's been 2 years since I've been back. This year, though, I'm doing a 2-week East Coast trip over the holidays. We're doing my partner's mom first in Florida, then my family in New York. So we're doing a double hitter. So we are staying here for this holiday because that's just a lot of travel in a short period. But usually I either do Thanksgiving, go there, and then my family will come here. But because I'm going there, I only do one.
Yeah. So
You'll
going
be in
from
Europe for Thanksgiving.
Yes, I will. My mom's going to join me for Thanksgiving. We're spending it in Strasbourg, France. It's where the Christmas market is. I've never even heard of it. My mom found it. She's like, let's go there. Okay.
Yeah. I feel like our listeners probably think you're just like jet setting to Europe every 3 weeks.
Well, it's funny because before COVID, I traveled every other month. And I like now thinking back, I don't know how I did that. I don't know how I operated. And my life is getting back into that travel state of mind again, and I'm like easing back in because I used to crave travel, and I think COVID made me very lazy about travel.
Yeah.
I was very happy staying put. I'm like, I don't need to travel. But now it's like the juices, their juices are turning again, and it's like, ooh, I think I want to travel again.
It's always so fun, don't get me wrong, but it's so exhausting too. I feel like
so
even
exhausting.
from my last trip to Hawaii, which is like a relatively laid back trip, I was exhausted for like a week after. I think it just takes a lot out of you. That's like the side of travel no one talks about.
Well, also the pre-planning too.
Yeah.
I'm going to be in like 5 or 6 different cities. So I'm looking at hotels. I'm looking at what we're going to eat, what we're going to do. And I'm on my own for some of it. I'm with my mom for some of it, and I'm with my coworkers for some of it.
Right.
So it's like context shifting is also very exhausting. This pre-planning, I wish I didn't have to do that.
So where are you going? Because it's primarily a work trip, but like where are you going as personal, or is it all through work and just some days you have off?
I'll have a week with my mom.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the Thanksgiving week bleeding into the next week a little bit. So we'll be coming from Paris. So we're going to explore central France. We're going to go to Strasbourg, and then we'll go to Lyon. Then we'll go to Bordeaux. I think that's the plan for now. But my mom's, Julie, she loves to travel, and she's kind of spontaneous, I would say, for an older Chinese lady. She's
like, she just was willing to do this. It wasn't that much notice. Yeah.
It was not. She was booked the ticket, and then she said to me, she's like, let's just book the bookends, the beginning of their trip and the end of their trip, but in the middle, let's just see where we want to go and just go. Like,
nice.
Love it. She's super spontaneous. Yeah. But my dad will be home for Thanksgiving. I feel bad about that, but he didn't want to come on the trip. He'll have Mojo, and they'll have their own Thanksgiving together.
Well, as long as he has Mojo, there he goes.
I don't know. That's a great consolation prize.
He's like sitting at the dinner table. It's like, I just envisioned that long table, your dad on one side, Mojo just staring him in the face. Mojo, for any new listeners, is Yue's dog. Very good conversationalist.
And my dad's like, what are you grateful for?
Yeah, and he just barks.
Yeah, he just barks. Yeah.
Hey, Mojo has a lot to be grateful for.
He is so lucky. He is such a lucky, lucky dog. We're so lucky to have him. So
yes, we are grateful as well. We are grateful too for this conversation. This is what I love about Dateable Podcast is when we started this podcast, did you ever think we'd be talking about feng shui?
Hell no. Hell no.
I love that it could take us in different directions that are all interrelated, but it's really nice that we are able to push the boundaries a little on this topic. And I feel like for months you've been talking about, let's do some sort of episode around feng shui. Mm-hmm. So we had John George, who's an interior designer, and he practices a lot of Western feng shui. So we're going to get into all that in the episode. But we wanted to start in the intro to talk a little bit more about Eastern feng shui also. So Yue, we can go into the formal definition, but when you had this vision of feng shui your love life, what came to mind for you?
Yeah. And what instigated all of this is that I moved furniture around in my apartment in San Francisco.
Yes.
And then I fell in love. And I had this moment thinking, that's all I need to do is shift my energy around. The basic principles of feng shui are that we can shift energy around in our homes in a way that creates positive energy. And we eliminate the blockages in our life. And I think the basic, if you just zoom out a little bit, feng shui is really about connecting with your environment. Mm-hmm. And how do we create that harmony with the environment that we live in? I didn't used to put this much attention into my home because I've always been a renter. And I think there's something with the renter mentality. It's like, this is temporary. I don't really need to hang pictures on the walls. I don't need to make this a home. And then Julie's very much the opposite. Like Julie's old apartment was very much like a home, and she made it a home. And I really admire that. And I actually think it's a very American perspective that this is like, even if you live somewhere for 6 months, you still want to make it a home. I've known friends who would paint their walls, even if it was a sublet. And I just thought it was wild. But now I understand wherever you live, no matter how long you're living there for, even a hotel room, there is an opportunity to move things around so the energy you create is a positive force of energy for you.
I do remember when you did that, and your apartment was a little bare before.
I had nothing.
I was like, does someone live here? Is it just like a recording studio? You have a bed, but not much other stuff. But I think, that is something that I have always valued. It's so funny. I'm just like recalling. So when I lived with my roommate for a long time, we were friends from college and we lived together for 5 years, like a really long time.
Yeah.
Her mom came to visit and just like looked at our apartment and was like, this is why you're single. And the best part is, she wanted to hire us an interior designer. And I think at this stage of my life, it wasn't that I wasn't capable of doing it. I just didn't have the money to invest in it. Because, decorating your home is quite expensive.
Very.
Furniture is super fucking expensive. So that was a big part of it.
Very.
But the best part is her solution was she bought us, I don't know if you remember this in my house, there was like a random window. It like looked into a courtyard. It's like this tiny window.
Yeah.
She bought us like one of those like drapes, like the dust ruffle, like not, what is that called? It's not a dust ruffle because that's your bed, but like that one of those like drapes at the top that just like frames the window.
The valance?
Yes. And I was like, this was your solution to finding us significant others? Like,
wow.
What straight dude's gonna come in and be like, well, now this is the partner I need. They have this window dressing up.
Well, okay. I want to talk about that though, because I used to think the same thing. I should really make the home that I want to live in. But my current partner, when he first came to my apartment in SF, before the furniture, before changing around the furniture, he's like, "Do you live in a dorm room?" He's like, "This is not." I did not think this is where a woman in her late 30s would live. And now looking back, I get it. I had the bed pushed up against the wall because I wanted to create space. I was like, oh, it can totally just be one side, against a wall. And I realized it's not really conducive to a partnership because you need freedom from both sides of the bed. You can't just like corner one person in.
My partner had that also. He did that also.
So and eventually I was living like a bachelor. Yes.
Basically. I was like to him, I'm like, it's really hard for me to get out of the bed at night, like to use the bathroom.
You have to like slip under.
I was like, this is really challenging. So he did move his bed over. He has like an IKEA bed, and in the process it almost broke.
Oh my gosh. And then
it has the one nightstand. I'm like, you have been set up as a single person. And, we go into that in this episode. There's a lot around just how do you make more space. And I actually remember we had a guest a long, long time ago. I always reference this book because it has stayed with me. I feel like you know what I'm going to say, but like the Finding Your Half Orange book.
Yes.
By Amy Spencer. And there was a whole section in there about just how do you make it you have space in your home for someone? It's clearing parts of your closet out, having 2 nightstands, maybe even leaving a glass of water on the nightstand. How do you do things that makes it feel like someone can come into your life? And I think a lot of that's your home, but also one of the things, I don't know if you went through a stage like this. I definitely did. My old roommate, I saw her go through this stage. I had other friends that have too. It's when you're single, a lot of times you feel like you need to live this single life, like always going out, always doing stuff to meet people. And I definitely felt this feeling of like, this isn't what I want anymore. Like I'm ready to slow down a bit. And I had this like guilt of like, I should still do it because I'm not with a partner. Like I should just spend Saturday night watching TV because how am I ever going to meet someone? But I did this, and like I watched my roommate do this, of maybe adapting more of this life that you could have with someone else. So while there isn't someone in there currently, you are making space for that lifestyle. Like if you're always going out and you never have any downtime, it's going to be a huge shift when you meet someone and you're doing more one-on-one stuff. So I started doing more one-on-one dinners with friends. I started just spending the Saturday night watching TV if that's what I really desire to do. So I think this whole making space concept is really important, whether it's physical space, mental space, whatever it is, to let that person into your life.
And that's very much related to feng shui principles, because feng shui in your home is about creating a space in your home that you don't want to leave. You love it so much because it embodies who you are. It's an extension of who you are. And just doing some quick research, because obviously, caveat, we're not experts. We're not Eastern feng shui experts, but we have a curiosity into this practice, and your bed is the most important piece of furniture in your home. And what is important about your bedroom is that it needs to create the sense of intimacy. So for example, no TVs, because TVs are supposed to take away the energy of intimacy. You want two of everything because you want balance, but you also want that idea of, creating space for someone else. And then you want like low lighting. There's a lot of just comfort that needs to be in your bedroom, and it shouldn't double as an office or something else that takes away from the intimacy. So that's kind of important for the bedroom. Your kitchen is also another very important area in your home, because that's supposed to symbolize your health. It's supposed to symbolize where it's where, they call it wealth too, but it's really like the wealth of healthy, it's where you nourish. So no blocked energy in the kitchen, meaning if you have appliances that aren't working, fix them right away or throw them out.
Interesting.
If you have appliances you don't use often, store them away. I'm so guilty of this.
Oh my God,
my
so
Instapot
guilty.
just sitting there, that stale Instapot energy I need to get rid of.
Or you need to use it more, one or the other.
There we go. Use it more and build more of that
are
Instapot.
amazing.
I hate to say I'm cheating on my Instapot with my air fryer. I just love my air fryer so much more. And organization in the kitchen is important, because once you organize your health and your nourishment, it's easier to find it. So, if you're like feng shuiing your kitchen, labels are very important. Lazy Susans are another great tool for that. I'm so guilty. My kitchen's such a fucking mess. I need to just be cleaning it.
You know what's so interesting? So when I was looking for a place, a kitchen was a huge thing for me.
Yes.
My old place, my kitchen was tiny. It always felt cramped. It always felt cluttered. And I wanted the open layout kitchen. That was so important, because I think it's interesting that there's this correlation with health, but it's also like a place of gathering, a place of community. And putting all this together, it makes so much sense why it's so central to a home.
Yes, and you probably spend most of your time in your kitchen. I'm going to my kitchen every 5 minutes when I'm working from home. So why not make that more of a gathering spot as opposed to just like the place where I get food?
Yeah.
So
I will say I'm a little guilty of the desk in the bedroom. And, some of this is just space constraints, right? At some point, would I rather the desk not be in the bedroom? Would I rather I had a second bedroom that hosted my work area? Absolutely, but I don't. But what I did is I sectioned it off a bit. So it feels like it's a little more taken away. So I think that is key. It's sometimes, this is the ideal. We understand there's sometimes constraints based on what you have to work with.
Well, I think what worked for me when I lived in a fucking studio was when I finally started sectioning off the studio. This is where I sleep. This is where I work. This is where I do my videos.
Yeah.
This is where I eat, even in a studio. So this is not about going out there and getting a 5-bedroom house, although if you have one, good for you. It's about creating designated spaces. And if you read any Buddhist philosophy, they really talk about giving each space a purpose. And I really enjoy hearing about that. It's like, when we dual purpose a space, then we're not able to focus on what we're trying to do in that space. So that's important. I thought this was kind of interesting, the commanding position. Julie, did you find this in your research? It's like the most important position in your home is the one that's farthest away from your main door, and it's at a diagonal. So it's not in the direct line of sight from your door.
Oh, interesting.
But when you're standing in the commanding space, you can still see the door. So the idea is standing in this place, when someone comes in, they can't see you right away, but you can see them. So you have you have control of your space, and you're also farthest away from the door. So your commanding place in your room or in your space is where you put your most important piece of furniture. So that could be your stove, that could be a couch, that could be your bed. And that's where you spend a lot of your time. That's your commanding space. So think about that. It's like catty corner to your front door, not in the direct line of sight, and it's farthest position away. What would that be for you, Julie? I'm like picturing your apartment.
For me, it would. So is it diagonal
your stove,
or is it neck? Yeah, it's the stove.
Your stove. Yeah, your kitchen is definitely your commanding space.
And I would say that is definitely the way the structure of my house is.
And
it's my commanding. Yeah.
And that's great because now once you know where your commanding position is, you focus more on that space. How do you make that space better? How do you move the energy around in that space to create positive energy? So if that's your kitchen, I think it's time to, get rid of those appliances you don't use.
So when I was looking into feng shui, I mean, the actual definition is an ancient Chinese traditional practice which claims to use energy forces to harmonize individuals in their surrounding environments, which we talked about. And the term feng shui, it means literally wind, water. And the goal is to invite positive chi into your home so your life feels both energized and balanced. And there were the 5 aspects of wood, metal, earth, water, and fire that contributed to feng shui. So wood symbolized growth and vitality. So by placing wood in your space encourages personal growth. So plants, wood, and furniture are easy ways to add this element. Definitely have a lot of wood furniture around, that's for sure. Metal was symbolizing logic and intelligence. So you can have metal picture frames, sculptures, anything of that sort. Earth symbolizes stability and balance. It grounds and stabilizes. So you can have rocks, crystals, landscape imagery. I think a lot of paintings fall into that. I feel like plants would also fall into that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's a big reason why so many people decorate with plants. I know for me, having plants, even if they're fake, that is my secret. I do not have a green thumb. Although I'm starting. I have a few real ones mixed in. But
even her succulents are fake, which just shocked me so much because they don't die.
Yeah, but there's something about it that still adds that earth feeling and life to your place. Even your background behind you right now recording, you can see the plants, it does give it so much more vibrancy. And then water. So water is the next one, symbolizes wisdom and serenity. It helps with clarity and relaxation. So mirrors, reflective surfaces. I actually got a glass table for the glass coffee table for this exact reason. I think one was the way that glass works in your home is it makes the space bigger because it reflects also, and it just adds that clarity. And then the last piece was fire, which symbolizes passion and energy. So it's a representation of transformation and expansion. And that's why people use candles. That's why fireplaces are so desirable. So anything you can add that fire into your home. Have you heard about like these kind of 5 elements?
Yes. And one thing about fire is, so these feng shui was put into practice by Chinese farmers who are trying to find like the most prosperous area to have crops. So fire back then actually meant fire, but in present day, we can use light.
Oh, light.
There's so much light design that can go into a home that I never knew about, and it gets very expensive if you wanted to.
Yeah.
But using light to create that sense of growth, that sense of change, or that sense of vitality is actually a very interesting art. The 5 elements, what I do take away from those principles is that you want a balance of all 5 in your home. And look around. I'm sure all of us have wood. A lot of us have metal, earth, fire, but water is the one. I love that you're using a glass table. Mirrors are great, but also just like a little desktop water fountain.
Oh, yeah, that's nice. Yep.
Those are really fantastic to feel zen. They're really good for anxiety,
rock
too.
garden. Yeah.
Oh, my gosh. I want like a real life rock garden one day. But like the water, I think the water one is the one I've been reading about. It's like it's the hardest one to incorporate. So you just have to do a little research on what that is. But once you identify the 5 elements and you know what you're missing, then you can focus on those elements that you're missing in your home and really balance your space. But I read that in the bedroom, it is the most important to have all 5 elements. If you
interesting.
Are missing it in any other room,
I need to do like inventory.
That is okay. Yes. Go in your
ASAP.
bedroom and say, what am I missing? So I think from this list, I want to add the lights that go under your bed.
Oh, interesting.
You know, ambient light. So I hate using the overhead light. It's just so bright.
Yeah.
Or like a dimmable light of some sort.
Well, he talks about dimming lights a lot, John George, on this episode. Yeah. I actually put that in. I use like Amazon Alexa to control it, or your phone too. And it has all these different dimming settings, and it's perfect in the bedroom.
Yes.
It's so
and
nice.
Like, you never want to turn on your light to the full potential, because you don't want big energy in your bedroom, because it takes away from the intimacy. So I thought that was interesting.
It's so interesting. Like, one of our mutual friends is in school for interior design, and lighting is so core. And I know for me, like, I haven't made like so many changes to my place, but lighting was a big one. I put in all new light fixtures, and it really changed the energy of the entire place. And some of these lights were like $80, $100. Like, we're not talking crazy money to actually make a big impact. And it's interesting because like 2 of the things that drew me to my current place was the floor to ceiling windows.
Yes.
And actually, weirdly, there's like floor to ceiling mirrors on one wall. And at first I was like, it kind of looks a little outdated. Like, is this a trend? And I actually thought about removing them, but it makes the space so much bigger because it has that element of water, right? The mirror and windows, like that reflection. I think for me, like, sunlight is huge. Like, for me, it was kitchen and windows, open air. Like, having air flowing through and sunlight, that just uplifts my entire energy and like makes me feel positive on a day-to-day. Like, I would feel depressed if I had no sunlight and just darkness.
Your current apartment is like so different than your previous apartment.
Oh my God.
There's just so much more light in this one. It just completely changes the vibe. And you know what? Some of us don't have the luxury of picking that place that we like absolutely fall in love with. I definitely know that when I was renting, you just have to make do with what you have. But some quick ways to make changes in your home. One is to change the light fixtures. That's a big one. Even as easy as changing light bulbs will actually change the energy in your room.
That's true. If you're a renter and you can't do it, just change it to not white lights. Change it to like more like yellow
and dimmable lighting.
Tones. Yeah, exactly.
Or like color lighting. That's really fun. Change the switch plate.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
The lighting switch plate, you can have fun ones, you can have reflective ones. That really changes the vibe in your room too.
Doorknobs is another hack. Doorknobs, any knobs, and they're like $15. You know, it's like that was definitely an interior design hack that you could change things to really upgrade it. And you know, this doesn't have to happen overnight. Like even in my old place, I bought new furniture. Like I bought it as I saw things that I liked, that I gradually replaced. And it ultimately, eventually got all my IKEA furniture out and got new upgraded stuff. No shade to IKEA. I do still have some IKEA stuff. But I think actually an interior design hack, it's not that you have to get rid of IKEA, but not having your entire place look like an IKEA showroom. Mix it up. Exactly. Mix it up. Add some other providers in there, then it like looks a bit more balanced. But this doesn't have to happen overnight. And I love this, just taking inventory. I'm like, oh, I think I have all the elements, but now that I'm looking back, maybe I don't in my bedroom. It's time to just check in and see what you can add or remove. Removing too is a big piece of it.
Removing is a
clutter.
Great plan for many of us.
We talk about clutter.
Yes, clearing the clutter is one of the most important principles of feng shui. And also this idea of like lack of attachment to your things. Because I get it. Sometimes when we spend so much money on furniture, so much money on fixtures, we're like, I have to deal with this for the rest of my life. You don't actually. Think about, you can move things around. You can always sell things on Facebook Marketplace and replace it with something else. This idea of just things are not, things aren't permanent, and
right.
And you don't need to be attached to the things. It's really just like the position of where you put them.
Yeah, we're going to get into this in the episode because I think John George really goes into it from the mindset of, okay, you've either had a breakup, maybe you don't want to keep stuff that reminds you of this person, or you're in a bachelorette pad and that's not conducive to the next stage of life you want to be in, or there's things that, just aren't aligned with where you want to go. So we're going to get into all this, but I think this was a good primer of feng shui and different aspects of it, and hopefully the rest of the convo can give you even more clarity into ways that you can think about how your home represents you, because we focus so much on putting ourselves together just in our appearance, but a lot like how you feel at home really does dictate how you feel in life. Like if we're all looking for a relationship that feels like home, we hear that all the time. Let's start by making our homes feel like home.
Yeah.
Just quick announcements. We are getting close. We really want to hit the 1K ratings and reviews. We are getting close. We're like 400 away, so we're not there yet. But you can all help us out. That would be, we would be so grateful right in time for Thanksgiving if you could just drop us 5-star review. We know it's one of those things, like with all reviews, you either do it when you hate something or when someone bugs you enough and then you just finally do it. Usually if you're just like, I like this, you don't feel compelled to do it, but it really is our livelihood. It helps us so much. So it helps us get these great guests every week too. So if you've been listening to the show for a long time, haven't pulled the trigger yet to write that review, at a minimum, just hit 5 stars if you're an Apple Podcast. At a maximum, leave us a one-liner of just how much this has helped you. We love reading them too, especially when people can relate it back to how this podcast has helped them.